Welcome, everyone, to Analytics Are for the Nerds. We are 50 days away until the start of football. Let's go.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Once again, gentlemen, I'm sorry about losing your boner. So sorry.
Very clear 101 in this biggest foot in the mouth draft. And the 101 is very clearly Rex Ryan, because that guy has definitely put some feet in the mouth. 100%. Guy loves feet, his white feet.
Big feet.
Lots of feet in
Little
the mouth,
feet.
I'm sure.
So many feet.
I gotta tell you, you know this about me. You've been around for 20 years. You know I'm like 15 years late to a trend, but I'm also like 10 years before the next trend. I could rock out a visor, I think. I could rock it every day, and not for a long time, because eventually that trend will spill again. But I think tomorrow I can go out and people are like, he's rocking it. He's doing it right. He's doing it.
Hair and the double mustache and that is fucking gross. So welcome.
I do want to be clear, though, that I have earned one, and Lou is depressed. There's a big difference. Lou is still trying to convince 16-year-olds he's cool, and they keep telling him they don't want weed from him. They can get it from anywhere.
I don't like it.
It still makes me chuckle. How is Kyle doing, everyone? How's he doing?
I don't know. I've been on the force now, or whatever it is, the fire, whatever they're called, the department. I think I had to take him to Flow Night the other night, which is down at Hoyt Lake. They do like the fire sticks and all that cool stuff. I took him there just so he could see fire. I think he's been on that force for so long, and I don't think he's been. I think the closest he's been to fire is when he cooks dinner on one of his 6 days a week off. Whatever. Thanks for your service, Kyle, I guess.
And also, Kyle, I'm very embarrassed that Louis said that it was really cool for you to see fire sticks, whatever that means. Just people, that's so weird. Okay. Thank you for your service. And for everyone listening who is saving fire. Fire is a sponsor of Analytics Are for the Nerds. We have 0 sponsors. Weird. So how are you guys doing? 50 days until Thursday night football is going to be on our televisions. How are you feeling?
Can't wait. I mean, feels like it's going to be here, before we know it. Summer always goes so quickly. I mean, they're already talking about, training camps coming up, and then preseason football, which, as Louis knows, when we were at the Fantasy Football Expo, we were really tuned in to the Bills preseason game that year, 2 years ago. So yeah, it's what a time to be alive, right?
It is exciting. I always battle with this time of year because I want to kind of keep summer going a little bit, right? You don't want to see too far ahead, especially in Buffalo, New York. 2, I still got some drafting to do. I haven't maxed out everything yet. I would like to spread out some more time so I can get in as many of drafts as possible. So yeah, it's exciting. I do kind of like playing off of the next couple weeks because of how people overreact to preseason football and all that news. So sure, I'll be not watching so much as I am in the draft rooms, trying to take advantage of people that are watching too much.
I get it. It's so it's very exciting, and I hope all is well. So I've got some really interesting to me stories. So one is particularly gross, and I can't wait to share it with you. You both. Okay, so. There's a guy named Robert Pattinson. He was in the Twilight movies. I didn't watch those movies because I get very uncomfortable with teenagers making out. Not an Epstein around here. Gross. So he's married to this, or has a partner who is this really cool model, and she's also a singer named Suki Waterhouse. So Suki said she was hospitalized for a hernia after wearing pants that were too tight. Ryan, when's the last time you were No, but am I wearing pants wrong? That's my first question. Well, I don't know how that happened. Like, why? First of all, why would you say that out loud? Two, no one cares that you haven't posted in 4 days on Instagram. Not you, Ryan, just in general. But I mean, are we getting too far with exposing our little secrets? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was just a classic overshare. I mean, you don't need to explain the reasoning for your absence. And first of all, I also feel like we need a little investigation on causation there. I mean, is that even possible? Can you get a hernia from putting on a pair of pants too tight? I have no experience in this. Lou?
As someone who has hurt himself in a lot of dumb ways, and someone who there are no such thing as good fitting pants when you're this size. There's no skinny jeans in a size 38. You know what I'm saying?
No, you just go back to the problem of where you're ordering these from. You know, we're getting the different measurements here. Okay.
But yeah, I would have follow-up questions if it was probably somebody that I knew or cared about, of how that happened. But I think he disrespected Robert Pattinson as sure, the Twilight movies, but wasn't he? He was a pretty decent Batman, right? Was he a Batman? Was he a Batman? A Spider-Man? He was somebody.
That you're asking me means he's a terrible Batman.
Yeah. I'm like, he was somebody, right?
Yeah. So I found that to be really fun. Okay, so it's a slow news week, which is good. Sometimes we need slow. Emma Roberts, another actor. She's I'm sorry, Emma Watson, another Harry Potter connected thing. She reportedly has been banned for driving for 6 months after a speeding infraction. So 6 months, her license was taken away. Ryan, you don't get to answer this first. Does anyone, Louis, want to guess how fast she was going to lose her driver's license?
As someone who has lost his driver's license for too many speeding tickets, and I will say this: me and Kyle, former co-host, we're talking about this the other day. We both got our license suspended at like 20 years old. People say I drive like a grandma now because since I've gotten my license suspended, I do not go more than 7 miles over the speed limit. I like to take my time. I'm not in a rush anymore. When I was a kid, I am going to say now, I mean, I need other facts. Was she on a throughway? I'm just going to say these people are dumb. They're entitled. They don't feel like they're ever going to get caught. So she was over 100 miles per hour. I'm going to say she was 105 miles per hour. Okay,
Ryan?
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you this. She was in allegedly.
Oh.
And then she did have a couple of points already on her license. She was in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Do you want to edit what you think?
Yeah, all right. So it wasn't over 100 now.
It was like 45.
200.
No, I mean, she's still probably going like 57, we'll say.
Okay. Final answer, 38 miles an hour.
Oh,
that's not even an infraction. Don't you have a 10 mile per hour?
I thought so. And
they used to say 8 you're fine, 9 you're mine, right? Something like that.
I don't know. I always thought it was 10 miles per hour, but like I said, I'm the grandma now, so I don't test those limits.
I don't want to, but metaphorically, I want to go to court and be like, Your Honor, liquor for beer, you're in the clear, just like 9 you're fine, 8 you're mine, or whatever.
Right.
That's not a thing.
These are things. Yeah. Just Ryan said it once on the podcast. You're just going faster.
I was like, you dirty. He's cool. And then do you want one more?
Yeah.
Okay, one more. This is kind of bonkers. A teen finds out that an anonymous internet bully who harassed her for years is actually her mom. So a Michigan teenager spent I knew you love you monster. And the mom is Louis.
Wait a second. Are you just
let me read the story. A Michigan teenager spent a year being relentlessly harassed online by an anonymous cyberbully, only to discover the person behind the screen was her own mother. The teen's mother, Kendra Lakari, used a VPN and fake accounts to send over 349 pages of cruel messages. I can't stop laughing. Cruel messages to her daughter and the boy she was dating. The case shocked investigators and the public alike as Lakari initially helped her daughter report the harassment before being identified by the FBI. She has since pleaded guilty to computer crimes and could face up to 10 years in prison.
This sounds like a fake variety story, or like one of those stories that you see like in one of those magazines at the supermarket. I mean, I also want more facts. I'm not just going to rush to judgment here. As someone with a 4-year-old, what was she bullying? Was she saying, "Hey, you need to brush your teeth more at night and not give you got to stop being such an asshole to your parents and be more diligent"? Then maybe some of it was warranted. Maybe the boyfriend was bad and she was trying to shit on him, so she got away from him.
Well, if you're asking if you can bully your 4-year-old daughter and say like Louis sucks, you can't. Just don't do it. Ryan, is that?
Yeah, I think what we just discovered is Louis is deep down a defense attorney. I mean, we just discovered that he's always trying to hear the other side of the story. Yeah, Louis, I think you got a future there.
All right. Well, guys, we have a very exciting guest on for today. We're going to move it on to, we're going to talk sports. I was going to do a big reveal.
Oh, you can do a big reveal still?
It's not too late. I can go backstage again.
All right. Cover your eyes, Dave. From Football Guys, Dave Kluge's here. Dave, welcome.
Thank you. I wish you had introduced me as another reformed criminal, just like Louis. I had my license suspended, and now I drive like a grandma because of it. So it works. It works. They do a good job out there.
I mean, like a lot of crime. I'm a big Dateline person, so I just want to see how everyone else's life sucks. So that's what I bring to the podcast. Dave, we're so excited to have you, and something very exciting we want to kind of start off with before we get into football and your great knowledge of the sport is we were talking before the show about what we think people pronounce your last name. I pronounce it Kluge. Am I correct?
You got it, which is very rare. You might have listened to a show and stolen that, but Kluge is the one that I get most often. And I had to apologize to my wife before we even got married. And I said, I'm just sorry. Nobody is ever going to pronounce your name correctly again.
No. Can you tell me what her maiden name was? Because did she go from a very simple name to then
Edmonds? So she has never dealt with anybody saying her name incorrectly until the last 5 years.
The worst she would ever have to deal with would be the O versus the U on the Edmonds. I mean, that you can deal with that.
The occasional misspelling, yeah, but Kluge, Kludge, Kludgy, you name it. Like nobody ever gets Kluge right on the first try.
But you have a good sports name because that's like the cool guy, like Kluge. Like you have a great, like that's fun. It is kind of fun. I'm Brady, so it's very simple. But and you got Ryan or Louis, any weird pronunciations of your name? Because Kluge, I get like luge.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very weird way to find out that you guys are just phasing me out of the podcast, and it's just going to be Dave Kluge with Louis G, and you just blend it together. That's so easy.
It works.
And Ellie, yeah, that's it. You gotta switch it up a little bit. No, the only issue I have is my real last name, you guys know, is Gott, and my real first name, I guess, is Louis. And so when it's a big part of the reason why I switched to Louis as an older is that when you do Louis Gott, it was always, everybody thought my last name was Scott because of how that the two just kind of go in together. But I haven't helped myself because when I introduce myself as Louis G, sometimes everybody thinks I'm a plumber that only wears green. So I don't really win either way.
I get it. Well, welcome to the show. We're very excited to have you. So we are going to talk football. I hope you are prepared. And then do you have any hot takes on the crime I discussed before we started?
No, just that it works. Like I said, I forget exactly what the exact, I think it was 3 tickets in my first year with my license, whatever it was. There was X amount of speeding tickets in the first year and you would get an automatic suspension. So I got my license and 6 months later, I didn't have my license for a year. And, that was 19 years old and I've been a good driver ever since.
See, sometimes you got to get scared by the law.
One issue, you guys were talking about Robert Pattinson, though, and I didn't hear
Yes.
any mention of The Lighthouse. If you want to watch one of the weirdest movies ever where Robert Pattinson bangs a mermaid, you can watch that in The Lighthouse, his best movie, in my opinion.
Is that the Willem Dafoe black and white film?
Yes, black and white film, just the two of them just trapped on a little rock island for a year. It's a weird one.
Now you're throwing me for a loop because my 4-year-old just asked the other day if mermaids were real, and I did tell her no. But now you're telling me that there's this movie. I think now I'm confused. So I'll have to check it out and I'll find out for myself. And maybe we need to adjust what I'm telling her.
Don't make the mistake I made and watch it on an airplane. That's all I'll say.
Speaking of that, how like airplane movies? There's always why are they letting you watch movies with a sex scene? Like, does anyone have a story like that? It's wild.
No, all of them. It's literally, it's just like they specifically do it because it points out who the cool people are on the plane. Very.
I mean, you guys being comedians, have you watched The Rehearsal, Nathan Fielder's newest show?
Great.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched the breastfeeding episode on a plane, and luckily it was late at night. I was taking a red eye, and I the scene came up, and I covered up my iPad. I looked around, everyone was sleeping, and I was just like, okay, I guess we're doing this on the plane.
Giddy up.
So all right, Allie, I know you can do this for an hour. Let's talk football.
All right, guys, we're gonna talk sports now. Happy days. It's still the first regular season game, but we're going to talk every week. We're going to talk about each different division. This week, we're talking about the NFC East. We're going to do a little preview, and I want everyone's hot take. So I'm going to ask you 4 different questions, and we'll just do kind of a round robin. All right. So Dave, we will start with you with this first question. So my question is, what will the Cowboys backfield shake out?
I think ADP's got it right, where it's Javonte Williams and then Jaden Blue and Miles Sanders. I think the only real issue is that there's this huge chasm right now between Jaden Blue and Miles Sanders, where I think drafters have definitively said that Jaden Blue is going to be the RB2 and Miles Sanders is an afterthought. And I'm not the biggest fan of Jaden Blue. I was looking just before we recorded, and Jaden Blue is being drafted as the RB44. Miles Sanders is being drafted as the RB67, and they do a lot of the same things, but I think that Miles Sanders is a little bit more polished at this point in his career. He's also a bigger back that can run between the tackles. Jaden Blue can't really do that between the tackles work. They're going to have to scheme up touches to get him outside on zone runs. He's very limited in what he can do at this point in his career. So I'm still taking the risk on Jaden Blue because there's the allure of the unknown. We don't know how high his ceiling is, but I have found myself drafting a lot of Miles Sanders very late in drafts where he's just going undrafted a lot of the times in these 18 and 20 round drafts.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rye. I'm sorry.
Well, I've been taking, just like Dave, I thought that was a really good synopsis, but I've been taking shots at all of these, when they're starting to fall behind ADP. I think what they do is they initially ride Javonte. I think the reason they paid him first was because they kind of envisioned him being the bulk of the, taking the bulk of the carries. I guess they're betting on last year being an anomaly because he wasn't good at all last year and really the year before. So I guess what I think is you may want Blue in like a best ball, to potentially have some spike weeks, but he's a really big risk for having a low floor too, because, they're talking about using Kevontae Turpin in the backfield. They're just looking for explosion. So the right answer to all of this might be, you really don't want any of these guys, as far as like for a redraft purpose for paying off big time beyond ADP. I think the touches are going to be so spread out, and we're probably a year or two away from the Cowboys backfield being one that you want to really target.
I both of you guys, I think, just made a lot of good points. To me, I think, especially in best ball, I think all 3 of them are good buys. And to your point, Ryan, just like taking them when they fall. I have a lot of teams where I will take 2 of the 3. Obviously, pretty hard to take all 3 of them unless I might get cute one day and try to do it if I have 2 real studs up front or something and try to take all 3 of them, just whatever. Because the backfield's going to be productive under Schottenheimer, right? Like, he's going to run the ball, and so one of those guys is going to be a huge hit. there's probably going to be a second one that is going to be a hit above ADP. And honestly, I don't know if all three of them don't do better than where they're getting drafted, because I see all three of them having a role and all having the options of like having spike weeks at certain points, whether that be injury or whatever. So I truly am getting all three of them as you know, where I can in ADP, and when, you know, especially when they fit the build that I'm going for. So I don't have a good feel on who sticks out. I think Sanders actually might get like the most work the first couple of weeks, but after that, I think it's going to be all over the place. But I do think all three of them have some good height upside.
Any comments on that, gentlemen?
Sorry we didn't give you a hot take. I know that's what you asked for. We all give you like the most lukewarm take possible. Like, yeah, it could be any of these guys. It's really a tough backfield to get a read on, though. And I think the one at cost, and it's such a cop out to say at cost, but Miles Sanders in round 20, when I can just get him there, especially in best ball, I think this is one of those backfields where I'll sprinkle guys in best ball. But when it comes to managed leagues, high stakes leagues, you know, your home league, redraft league, stuff like that, I'm probably just avoiding this backfield altogether. You know, if you got three guys that are all in the running for it, I think we're going to see a rotation. It's going to ebb and flow throughout the entire season. So I'll just let my league mates deal with that headache.
Yeah. I'm going to call this old bathwater takes. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up is how does the QB situation in New York look like, and how does it affect the rest of the skill position players? Dave, you want to take this?
Yeah, I have probably spent just an embarrassing amount of time looking at the New York Giants schedule, trying to figure out when they can fit Jackson Dart in there, because I think we'll see the typical Russ Wilson being the bridge quarterback starting the season, and then they'll hand the reins off to Jackson Dart at some point. But it's a fun game to play when you know this is going to happen, trying to see where it'll happen in the schedule. And that's what I can't figure out, because maybe in week 3, when they have this home game against the Chargers, maybe that's when, if it's just like terrible, like they start off 0-3, I could potentially see it then. But if he doesn't get that start in week 3, they've got a really tough stretch in the middle of their schedule, where it's at Philadelphia versus San Francisco, at Chicago versus Green Bay, at Detroit, at New England. I don't think they're going to want to start him on the road. And then the home games that they have are both against really tough opponents. So I think if he doesn't get to take over by week 4, we probably aren't going to see him until week 14. And you know, I think that's kind of the worst case scenario, but that's a home game against Washington. They can get a few, you know, reps underneath his belt, and then hopefully Brian Daboll can show just enough promise from Jackson Dart that he could get extended for another year and stay in New York. But it's a really weird situation looking at the schedule, because I don't think that there is really a good time for Dart to take over outside of that week 14 opportunity. But I think as far as how it's going to affect the playmakers there's really only one guy I care about as far as receivers go, and that's Malik Neighbors. I know a lot of people every single year, it seems like we get drawn to Darius Slayton, and Wan'Dale Robinson had all these targets last year, and he was horribly inefficient with them. So Neighbors, we saw last year, it didn't matter who the quarterback was. He pulled the highest target share any rookie has ever done in NFL history. I think regardless of who the quarterback is, he's going to be fine. He's going to be productive. But I am drafting a lot of Jackson Dart because he rushed a ton at Ole Miss. He is a sneaky athlete, as they call him, and I think that he can pad that floor in fantasy with some rushing upside if he does get to take over.
And just a follow-up question, Dave, who do you think is going to last longer on the Giants, Brian Daboll or Malik Neighbors?
Malik Neighbors for sure. I think if he has another season like he did last year, I think they might pull the Jets Garrett Wilson move and just ink him up long term before he even gets to the end of that rookie deal.
Yeah. I love it.
Right?
Go on, right.
Go on, right. All right. I'll just go. My thought here is that kind of align again with Dave a little bit, but with Daboll playing for his job, or, you know, kind of, you know, playing for his job, so to speak, is like, if Dart doesn't show that he's the best of the 3, or possibly the best of the 3, I wouldn't be shocked to see Jameis Winston before we see Dart, especially when you talk about in that middle of that stretch. If they're 0-3 and now in this middle of this really, you know, bad stretch, they might want, and Dart's still a little bit lost with things, they might want to throw Winston in there that middle of the season to take those L's, or to still try to win in their head, because he gives them the best chance. And I mean, man, the best thing in the world for fantasy, for Neighbors, for whatever, just like, give us Jameis. So maybe that's wishful thinking, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy to say they're even like 2-2, but Wilson just looks like shit. I think there's a chance that they go to Winston trying to save their jobs, and if Dart doesn't just show that he's over and beyond these guys, so I'm excited to see it. But yeah, give me Jameis, because I think Wilson just maybe bumps Slayton up a little bit and then bumps Wan'Dale down a little. Slayton, because he could stretch the field a little bit, and Wilson still has that ball. It's all he has. And Wan'Dale, he doesn't throw those intermediate routes as much, but not enough. Like Dave said, they're not worth drafting in most spots anyways. So I don't know. Give me Jameis is what I want, but I do think you're probably right. They probably try to stretch Russ out for as long as they could to stay competitive, and whether that be they get fired midseason, if Daboll gets fired midseason, or they just decide to move on. But I'm not excited. I don't know if they'll go to Dart as much as we want to see him. I don't think they'll go to him until late in the season.
All right. If there's anyone listening right now that is choosing or deciding whether to put any sort of currency on the Giants to make the playoffs at whatever ridiculous odds you could get, you need to call the number, buddy. Okay. Because it's you're cooked. Okay. They are absolutely not going to make the playoffs. Daboll is not going to make it through the year. Listen to the start of the schedule: at Washington, at Dallas, home KC, home Chargers, at Saints. All right. That's an easy one. Home Philly, at Denver, at Philly. There's 8 games there that there's no way Jackson Dart is getting into those games. It's going to be Russ, the earliest. And I do think this is when it happens. I think it's week 9. It's home against the 49ers. It's not ideal that it's the 49ers, but I don't think that their defense is the vaunted defense that they once had. It definitely isn't, because they've lost so many guys and they've tried to patch that up. I think there's a remote chance, a really, really remote chance, that he's good enough to win the camp battle, a la Russell Wilson, did, funny enough, back as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. But man, I just can't see the organization throwing their first round pick to the Wolves, so to speak, with that offensive line and what is sure to be a 2-6 record, I'd say, at best. So Neighbors will be fine. He's insulated. I mean, he produced with the worst quarterbacks last year. So he'll be fine. And like Dave said, he's the only one that's worthwhile to chase.
If you think that, Ryan, I was looking on DraftKings earlier this morning. You can get Jackson Dart to take the first snap for the Giants this season at plus 1,300 right now. And I think I think him starting week 1 is probably more likely than him getting like an early season switch. So I like those odds.
I like that.
Just sprinkle a little bit on that this morning.
That's cool.
It's a good call.
Invest everything, Ryan. All right. It's like the Raiders. I don't know if you guys saw the Raiders story where the guy invested a bunch of money at the Raiders winning. We'll talk about that later. So when we get to the anyway. So next up is, let's rank the top 5 non-quarterbacks for the Commanders in fantasy points for the 2025-26 season.
I've got Terry McLaurin up top. I think that's pretty obvious. The Brian Robinson, number 2, I think that's pretty obvious as well. Where I do kind of stray from the consensus, I think Washington is one that ADP doesn't have right. I like Austin Eckler quite a bit, and I've got him as 3rd in fantasy points, and then Deebo Samuel, and then Zach Ertz. This is it's a gross depth chart. Like, I thought they were going to make a lot more of an effort to beef it up this year. They didn't do much in the draft. They went out and they got in old, often injured Deebo Samuel, who's on the downtail of his career. I don't really like what the Commanders are doing right now. They went out and got Laramie Tunsil, who, the Texans were happy to ship off after seeing some pretty bad effort from him last year. They're the oldest roster in the NFL right now. And I don't really know who it's going to behind Terry McLaurin. So this is one where I'm happy to take Jaden Daniels at cost. I'm happy to draft Terry McLaurin at cost. God forbid he does hold out. It's going to be pretty bad out there. But there's nobody else that really piques my interest on this outside of Austin Eckler, who I think is just getting drafted way too late.
Go ahead, Ray.
So I'm going to give the first hot take of this segment, I suppose. And I'm going to say the answer to who has the most points at the end of the season as a Washington Commander is Tyreek Hill. Okay. I've said this,
Ooh.
actually, I went back. This is
Love
like
it.
going back to the beginning of the offseason. I thought for sure that Miami was going to move Tyreek, and I still think that they may. It's probably going to be an in-season move, and Washington makes a ton of sense. And Dave, you pointed out the reason why. They are the oldest team in the NFL. I think they look at this as, I have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract, and I'm just going to try to get a bunch of veterans that can help us win now. Smart players that have done this before, and who they have cap room. Who's to say they can't just take on Tyreek Hill for 2 years and say, yeah, it's like when Toronto went to acquire Kawhi Leonard, right? They're like, listen, it's a short-term investment. We know that, but we're trying to win this damn thing, and they could do it. So I think it's going to be Tyreek Hill, number one, then McLaurin. I still don't know what they're going to do on the contract wise, so I'm just hedging, putting him there. Debo will be number 3. I have Eckler as number 4 and Robinson number 5. Just like Dave, I think Eckler he actually was pretty good last year. He just got injured with concussions, and so I'm 100% aboard just taking him at cost over Washington, over Robinson, who is much more of just the early down grinder, anyways.
While I think you guys both make good points, I'm going to be very, very, very Louis here and be maybe a little bit off the radar here. One thing I do agree with is where David, like, I don't love what they're doing, and I don't know if Jaden Daniels has that whole sophomore type of slump. Now we're really like, now they're really struggling. Not saying that's going to happen, but in these best ball drafts, especially with the McLaurin situation, I'm taking Jaden Daniels naked a lot, and I don't really love to do that in these best ball drafts mostly, but like I'm fine with drafting him naked because it's hard to figure out what all these other spots are going to do. But I'm going to go Debo Samuel as my number 1 here, and it's obviously going to obviously be contingent on him staying healthy, but it also is playing off that I don't think McLaurin's going to end up at least starting the season, whether it be not starting the season at full health or, even if he's delayed in going to camp. Like we see these things all the time. The player gets hurt early in the year because they missed a few weeks of camp, yada, yada, yada. If it's them trying to make a point that, hey, we don't need you, or we're going to be a little bit more into this because they're trying to work the contract situation. I'm going Debo. He has had the success before, and I think if he stays healthy, he's the type of guy that they can use in a lot of different ways, especially because they don't have a great running game. He might, have a part a part in that too. I did put McLaurin second because I do think he eventually shows up and plays if he doesn't get hurt. Brian Robinson, I have third. I am not a Robinson apologist, so I'm not like even going to fight you guys on the Eckler point. I just don't really like Eckler right now either. I feel like he's washed now because there's no other people catching the ball there. Maybe he does have a role if he can stay healthy. I just have Robinson 3. Here's my I'm saying this is where I'm getting hot takey after those 3, but I got Keenan Allen as my number 4. I think Keenan Allen makes just a lot of sense as a landing spot for them. Now there's the Noah Brown injury news coming out, and he's their slot guy. Like Keenan Allen would be a perfect slot guy there to go in. I think that makes way too much sense, especially with the McLaurin thing. And then I'm going Ben Sinnott as my 5th, and that's 100% just playing off of a possible Ertz injury. I'm not saying that he's good enough to take over the job from Ertz. Ertz had a great year last year. I'm not saying that Ertz is going to fall off the cliff so much that's not just going to win it. I'm going to play off of, hey, old tight end gets hurt and talented backup comes in and does well. So
Trey McBride trajectory. That's what we call that one, right?
That's exactly it. There you go. And then Allie.
Right. And then, so gentlemen, how will the offensive coordinator change affect the Eagles? So we all know that Kevin Patullo has been promoted. He was formerly the passing. He was passing. Now he's promoted, replacing Kellen Moore. This is the 6th. This is the 6th offensive play caller for Jalen Hurts in 6 years. So what does that look like? How does that affect him? Wow. Let's go, Dave.
I don't think it's going to change too much. They did promote from within, and they kept the roster pretty much the same. It seems like they're just trying to run it back. I mean, when you win a Super Bowl, I don't think you want to change too many things outside of some minor tweaks around the edges here. I think the one thing that we might see is them reeling back Saquon Barkley's workload a little bit. I think it was 480 touches last year if you count the playoffs, which is just an astronomical number, and he really defied the odds staying healthy all there. But in the little flashes we saw Will Shipley last year, he looked pretty good. They went out and they got A.J. Dillon as well, who's dealing with an injury right now. But I don't think that we're going to see like a committee by any means. But last year where Saquon Barkley was getting one of the highest opportunity shares in the league, it wouldn't surprise me if they shave a little bit off the top and we can see Shipley coming in there for 20% of the touches or so. But this is offense. It seems like regardless of who the offensive coordinator is, we kind of know what it's going to be. Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball. They're going to focus on getting the ball to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Now with Saquon Barkley there, they don't have to worry about who the running back is. And I think this is a pretty clean offense that's just going to go through those guys.
I like how Ellie started this by saying, we all know that they made this change to Rick Betulo or whatever his name was. And I was like, for the record, I have no idea that they did that. Secondly, I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Get a Daily Mail account, Ryan. Come on.
How great would it be if I didn't know that they made the change, but I'm going to petition why it's like such a big deal. No, listen, they had all right. How many passing touchdowns do you think Jalen Hurts had last year?
He was like 22 or something, right?
18.
Yeah.
Wow.
18. He had 18 passing touchdowns. So, I mean, no wonder they made a change at offensive coordinator. I would too. So, listen, I know it's not their offense and it's about efficiency, but man, this is why people rag on Jalen Hurts, because he just is not a passing quarterback. He's efficient. He can make the throws that I know they're not asking him to do that, but I think there's a reason they're not asking him to do that too. And with all those playmakers, why would you not want to just air it out all over the yard? So nevertheless, I'm always going to find a way to get in some Jalen Hurts slander, even when you're asking about the Eagles OC.
Yeah. Well, you should know about the change because it's been the biggest push of why I've been telling you since February that Kenny Pickett, and I still think this is possible here in the offseason, is going to the Saints to play for his former offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. I think that makes so much sense. I think it's going to happen in training camp. I am not drafting any Ashau or because I think Kenny Pickett will be playing games this year for the New Orleans Saints. I'm sticking to it. So you should know that. As far as the question, it's hard to think that it's going to change anything. Like Ellie said, 6 different play callers. The only thing that I wonder about and would love to see, just as a somebody that wants their little dynasty or anything to blow up as a Bills fan, is that I just want to see some dissension because Sirianni at some point took away the play calling from Kellen Moore last year, and Kellen Moore ends up getting a head coaching job months later. So does that happen at somewhere in season, and does that affect? I don't know, but I don't expect much change from the offense, and I'm not drafting as I am.
All right, hot takes, everyone. Hot. Cold bathwater takes. I love it. Excellent. So next we are going to move on to, we're going to do a little division. We're going to do some redraft. So a division redraft sleeper. Louis, do you want to take that first? Do you want to?
Sure. So I mean, we'll do a division, someone in the division that's a redraft sleeper, a redraft bust.
A redraft bust, a division dynasty sleeper, and a division dynasty bust. So redraft.
Yeah, I'll roll through all 4 of mine just to we'll try to speed up the segment a little bit. I know we're running a little bit behind. So for my redraft sleeper, I'm going Tyrone Tracy. The guy was efficient last year. I don't like Scatterbo at all. He's a fullback. He is a fullback where I'm sorry, I can't say he does not have the ability to I just don't see him taking over Tracy. I think that's a role, especially in a organization that they're trying to win games and trying to save their jobs. Why go? It was a surprising draft pick. I'm not going to lie. They still picked Scatterbo, and they took draft capital. But I still think Tracy ends up being way better than ADP there. My redraft bust, I'm going CeeDee Lamb here, and it's not because I think CeeDee Lamb is a bad player or that he's going to be horrible or have a horrible year. I heard Evan Silva say this yesterday, that this is the best first round maybe ever. And I agree with him. And so when you look at that, and there's just players behind him, the Neighbors, the Achans, the Nico Collins, the Brian Thomas Jr.'s. It's just these guys that I'm taking over CD because I like their upside better. Listen, Schottenheimer's going to run more. There's Pickens now, I think, demanding way more targets. I think Pickens is a good ball player and he's going to ball out there. Like, I just don't think he's going to pan out as a first round pick. And then for a dynasty sleeper, I'm going to go with my boy, Johnny Wilson. And maybe I'm still just holding on for hope. But Johnny Wilson, had one of the best RAS scores. I mean, his analytics are, we say they're for the nerds. I mean, they're through the roof. He didn't really get an opportunity last year and they just don't throw the ball. You guys just said it themselves. So, if there's an injury or AJ Brown moves on, like, I still want to bet on him and his profile going forward.
But time out. Louis knows who Johnny Wilson is, but not Kevin Patullo. Just saying.
I know that was Ryan.
That was me.
And then my dynasty bust for the division is just going to play off the Tracy thing a little bit, and it's just Scatabo. He's in second round in a lot of these rookie drafts, maybe late first round if it wasn't a super flex. Like, I just don't see him paying off. I think he's just going to be a really good kind of pounder, but I don't see him ever paying off where his ADP is right now. So there you go.
All right. I'll rip through mine quickly here. Redraft sleeper Pickens. He's not much of a sleeper in the sense that he's going at wide receiver 28. I just think that's too low. He is, I think, going to smash this year. And when you have such a concentrated target tree with Pickens and Lamb and I guess Ferguson, I mean, man, that's really nice. For my redraft bust, I'm just going to say McLaurin relative to ADP. I mean, there's the holdout issues, but I think his price is already wrong. I mean, he was heavily insulated on touchdowns last year. I really expect that to regress with, perhaps spreading the ball around more and using Debo and whatever else they bring in, like potentially Hill, as I'm saying. So yeah, I think he's not going to pay off that pricey ADP. For dynasty sleeper, I'm going to say Thomas Fidone. That's the tight end out of the Giants. I still think that there's a potential light on for Theo Johnson, but Fidone has turned some heads supposedly at the tight end university. George Kittle noticing him and complimenting him. And so maybe there's a shot for him to and I've already grabbed him in all the dynasty, leagues where there's start two tight ends. So, nobody can capitalize on me at least. And so finally for the dynasty sleeper or dynasty bust, I'm going to say AJB. AJ Brown is getting up there in age. I think you could potentially cash out on peak value right now. And I mean, Jesus, his quarterback just threw for 2,900 yards last year and 18 touchdowns. I don't really want to buy a share of that offense right now. So yeah, I'm selling AJB if I can.
Here's a little fun fact on I say Fidone. I don't know if it's Fidone or Fidone. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he and Brock Bowers were number 1 and 2 in that 2021 high school recruiting class. Like another guy with off the charts athleticism, and he's kind of the tight end that we want to see in fantasy. He's not like a 6'6" guy who's going to be playing in line or anything like that. He's basically going to be a slot receiver with a 9.5 relative athletic score. So that's a deep pull there, but a guy that I have sprinkled onto a lot of dynasty rosters as well. I like that call out.
No need to apologize about that, Dave Kluge.
I know. It's pronounced. All right, excellent.
Well, wait.
Finish.
No, doesn't Dave still have to answer, right? Did you answer?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, I can rip through these real quickly. So redraft sleeper, Austin Eckler, who we touched on a little bit earlier. But I think for me, it was what I saw in the playoffs. Brian Robinson was healthy in the playoffs, and Eckler was still getting 7.5 carries and 5 targets per game. So I think he's got some standalone value in this offense as the pass-catching running back. And the contingent upside, if they decide to phase Brian Robinson out or if he gets injured, is just high enough that I want to take that chance. The bust, I'm sorry to do this to you, Louis, but I've got Deebo Samuel pegged as my bust. And I'm going to talk about a lot of Commanders here because, like I said, I think like Philadelphia, very consolidated target tree. We know where that's going. I think when you look at the Cowboys, you know where all the touches are going. The Giants are just kind of a mess that I don't even think you can really take many stances there. Where I think Washington, I think a lot of drafters just have it wrong. So Deebo Samuel, 29 years old, downtrending efficiency. I was just looking a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to see how much of Deebo Samuel's production came in 2021. 30% of his career scrimmage yards, 31% of his career fantasy points, all came in that 2021 season. Since then, he hasn't had a year with over 900 receiving yards. The efficiency is ticking downward. I think that you look at a 29-year-old receiver and think that they're still in the prime of their career, but with the amount of carries that he's had and the way he plays after the catch, he's kind of aging more like a running back than he is a wide receiver. So a little bit nervous about him and his outlook. Sleeper for Dynasty, Tyrone Tracy, basically saying all the things that you said, Louis. I think that he is just a very, very good player, a great prospect profile coming in, converted wide receiver who we know can catch a lot of passes. And the one thing I can't stop thinking about with Tyrone Tracy is how inefficient Wan'Dale Robinson was in that role last year. And then you see Tyrone Tracy, a converted wide receiver who can really work in that short area of the field out of the slot, that if they can put him in that role and feed him 130, 140 targets this year, he could just break fantasy football with his current ADP. And then the bust, I hate to say this one, but Brian Robinson Jr., just very average guy and a very good story, coming back from the gunshot and all that stuff, rooting for him, of course, but the efficiency just has been very mediocre. They started to phase him out a little bit last year, even before the injury. People are still drafting him in like round 7, round 8 of dynasty startups, and I just can't get there.
It's just one gunshot. Come on, Dave.
Didn't bother Ricky Pearsall last year. He was just fine. So
Yeah, he came back a lot sooner. Didn't even bitch about it.
And he got his watch back too. That was
It's like, he got shot and got his shit back.
There's some corroborating reports too that like the assailant actually left with a gunshot wound, and some people said that
he turned it on him. He shot. Yeah. He turned on the gun on the guy. Yeah,
like a straight up like John Wick story. Like gets mugged and just turns the gun on the guy and ends up playing football 2 months later. Pretty insane.
Sounds like a couple guys spending too much time on Reddit to me. I don't know.
Love it. That's such a good story. Well, the next draft we'll do is famous gunshots. Okay, so we're going to do a fun fantasy football categories. We'll make this kind of quick. Your answers will be faster than the long spin that Louis has. Just be aware, audio listeners. So
if you guys are in a rush because of me, I've got time. No, so I know I'm long-winded, so I end up dragging shows out.
You're doing great. Oh, you're perfect.
Appreciate that.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a player. We're going to spin the wheel of names, and then it's going to give us a category, just like categories. So I'm going to give you a category and a player. So we're going to do the first spin. Dave, since you are our lovely visitor, we're going to give you first. Louis, can you spin the wheel for us?
Oh, you got to give him a name first.
Yeah. So my first name for you is going to be Chris Godwin.
All right.
Chris Godwin. And so far we have camping items, things you get in the mail, winter things, video computer games, a former NFL player, and a Taylor Swift song. You are going to have to do winter things, Dave.
And
winter things that Chris Godwin would like? Is that the
what is a item associated with winter that would explain Chris Godwin for his value or what you expect from it?
How about some leg warmers? Those like old school, like from the knee to the ankle. He's coming back from the season-ending dislocated ankle. Does that work? We could.
That's great.
That works.
There you go. All right,
leg
warmers.
You could. Do you have a quick take on where you think he's going to if he's going to bounce back, how he looks this year?
I do have some concerns about a 29-year-old coming back from that ankle injury, especially with them investing a first-round pick in Emeka Egbuka. I'm not super bullish on Chris Godwin this year. There's other players coming back from injuries that I like better. Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk. Chris Godwin has just been, I don't want to say a fade, but a guy that I just haven't really found myself drafting much at cost.
Yeah,
me either, but he was like the second best wide receiver before he got hurt last year. And like I keep getting reminded of that, but I can't click on him anymore. It doesn't make me click on him anymore. So yep. I feel that.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Chris's name is commonly referred to as Goodwin, not Godwin. So if we want to keep in that, so we're gonna go to Ryan next. Ryan, I'm gonna give you DJ Moore.
Okay.
Spin the
DJ
wheel.
Moore and
Big reveal. I love the Ozempic ad, which is not a sponsor.
it might be soon. I'm going to get on it because I need
get in the mail.
Things you get in the mail.
DJ Moore, Ryan.
All right. So DJ Moore kind of last year seemed to be a bit mercurial, right? He was having some attitude issues on the field and taking plays off and mouthing off to coaches. So I feel like DJ Moore is like getting a red light violation ticket in the mail. Like, it's you're not doing anything too bad, but you're kind of like flirting on the edge of, doing something you shouldn't be. So that's DJ Moore. And my take on him this year, I'm a little bit worried. Again, dynasty wise, I would be trying to move off of him. The team can only tell you so much at the podium. Their actions at the draft are going to say way more about what they think about their team going forward. And what does Ben Johnson do when he gets into to take over the Bears? He spends his first 2 picks on offense and one at a position that DJ Moore plays after already last year having drafted a receiver in the top 10. So they're definitely phasing this guy out. This is like, the last year of Diggs on the Bills. They're getting ready to move him off. And I think he's probably donezo after this year, at least with the Bears.
I'm with you. And Ben Johnson, if you look like whether it was with Detroit or with Miami back with like the Jarvis Landry and Danny Amendola days, he talks all the time about how his passing game runs through the slot receiver there. And they asked him before the draft, they said, what do you think about DJ Moore and Roma Dunze playing out of the slot? And he didn't have the best words about it. He was like, I've seen him play inside. We'll see how they, once we get out there in training camp. But he sounded very not excited about DJ Moore playing out of the slot. And then they go out and they draft Luther Burden, who played almost exclusively out of the slot at Missouri. He's basically like a supercharged Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm completely with you on DJ Moore. As a Bears fan, like I do not have any warm and fuzzy feelings about him right now.
No.
Who's lasting longer, DJ Moore or Brian Dable?
I think Dable maybe.
Okay, there you go.
I didn't hear anything that was said. I was too busy Googling what mercurial meant. He dropped that off. I did spell it right, which is crazy to begin with, but I figured that out. Way to go, Ryan. Thanks for teaching me a new word today. All right. Yeah. What do I got?
I'm going to give you Dylan Sampson, Lou, if you want to spin that wheel and see what you get.
Dylan, he's hot right now. He's hot in the best ball streets.
This is
Dylan Sampson and a former NFL play.
And a former NFL player. Sorry, I shortened that in there. When I was thinking about this today, is if it like I don't know what a good like former player comp would be. I came up with like Tevin Coleman is like the first thing that came to my mind. Now Tevin Coleman is bigger than Sampson and doesn't, and I was like, oh, and Sampson really isn't the same pass catcher. He only had 40 receptions in college. And then I looked up Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman only had 54 receptions in college. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe that's a thing you can just start doing in the NFL because he's shifty enough to have that in his repertoire. Obviously, the new news like bumps him up crazy with the Judkins news. And here's my thing, not to talk about the Judkins thing too much. I know we haven't brought it up, but like, he doesn't even have a contract right now. He's behind. They drafted another rookie. That I went back and looked. There is no scenario where a team has drafted 2 running backs before the fourth round. I believe in history, at least if there was, Gronk did not know. But like, so there's not that's happened before. Now they got this guy who was very efficient, has a great RAS score, and he's going to go and he's going to play well because not for nothing, running backs, if the system's right, will just be good. And he was going to be good. And Judkins, like, he might just phase right out. So I know that wasn't the answer, but I do think that Tevin Coleman, I guess, would be the best comp there. So
Okay.
I'll go with that.
All right. Next time you try to give Ryan shit for not answering a question, we're gonna.
I know.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank
You're
you.
well. I got you. So we're gonna go back to you, Dave. I'm going to give you Najee Harris, a favorite of our dear Ryan here, and then if you could spin the wheel, Lou. We have 3 left. This
Things
is
you
good.
take
little
camping, you
tongue-in-cheek.
could definitely take fireworks, right? I don't know if that's.
Oh,
there it is. There it
There
is.
you go.
Things you
Najee
take.
Harris and camping items. What do you got, Dave?
That's great.
You know, I'm a big time camper here, and always bring my trusty first aid kit with burn cream and band-aids and all that sort of stuff. Dude, my vibes for this, like, we don't have all the information right now, and vibes are atrocious right now for this Najee Harris situation. I actually just shared this on Twitter, like right before we went on the show, but I wanted to, because I remember like the Jason Pierre-Paul thing. Remember, like same sort of thing as Najee Harris, and I remember it getting very underplayed. I pulled up the first article that was shared on ESPN after that happened. Direct quote here: Jason Pierre-Paul didn't lose any fingers, and doctors believe there will be no permanent damage or disfigurement of his hands. I also think back to last year with David Njoku, where he fell in a fire, and they were like, it's no big deal, just some minor burns, and then he shows up with like no skin on his face and a mask. These off the field issues always get so underreported that if we're here, 2 months out from the season, and they're worried about him playing in training camp and saying like he should be ready for this, I think this is a lot worse than people are believing it.
Do we have any takes on Adam Schefter's response to that? Like, did he say anything crazier than what the NFL is saying?
They're trying to downplay it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like all the big reporters are downplaying it. What I do buy into is, as much as I hate X sometimes and social media in general, I do buy when something starts gaining enough traction, there's some truth behind it. And these stories are coming out for like 3 days before anybody even acknowledged something that happened. So I would say that it's probably pretty serious. My whole thing is, unless he's fucking Carl from The Walking Dead, I think he'll be fine. And did we lose Ryan? Great. I think he would be. I think he'll be fine, and I think all will be well. But yeah, it's definitely weird for sure. On that.
I think even if he is ready for week 1, though, missing out reps in training camp, this is a new team for him. This is a new system. He's never played in Greg Roman or Jim Harbaugh's offense before. So I think every day that he can't practice just gives Omarion Hampton more of an opportunity to be that guy and carve out a bigger role. So even if he is ready for week 1, I'd get pretty nervous if he's missing an install in training camp.
It's the same point that you made previously, right? Or I just made about Judkins and Sampson. Is just like, you get that opportunity, and if that guy's good, then he's phased out. I think I still want to bet that he is fine and in camp and it all works out. And honestly, I feel like Najee's a little bit of, before the eye injury, a little bit of ADP value, but I guess we won't see it until he shows up to camp like a fucking pirate.
I love the idea of saying before the eye injury, and then it's just so.
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's like a bully. I love it. I don't love it. It's good. I hope he recovers. But right, Ryan, we are going to give you your final player, and it's going to be Jatavion Sanders and the long spin. No big deal. No big deal.
Oh man, I was hoping to get a Taylor Swift song. Such a Swiftie.
Do you know any?
I know them all. He does. I'm sure he does.
I am not a Swiftie, but I did have access to. I have access to Google, so I did look up a bunch of these songs. So I am going to say, look, I mean, first of all, what is Jatavion Sanders doing in any sort of like category? How does anyone describe Jatavion Sanders? Nobody knows what he is. So with that said, he is blank space, right? I mean,
There you go.
he is I have no clue. He's mystery box guy. He could be actually good, and like maybe the end of the last season was a trend and he's going to start coming on as a decent option, or he could turn into nothing like a lot of, tight ends do over time. So I don't know what he is. So he's blank space.
Wow. You're a girl dad and I love it.
I
We just gained 400 followers because you said Taylor Swift out loud. I'm so excited for this. Okay, and Lou, you have the final one. I'm going to give you new dad, JJ McCarthy, and the final spin, which was
that was video games or video or computer games. That's a tough one for JJ McCarthy, but this is the point I want to get across. I'll say just going to go in general PS5, and that is because PS4 was fine, and I thought that would be my last gaming system I'm done, and maybe until my 4-year-old grows up, this and that. And I went and I hardly played anymore, and this and that. And then I went to a stag and I won this fucking PS5, whatever. And I brought it home and I was like, oh no, this is what gaming is. This is cool. And it got me kind of back into gaming. This is a few years ago. And that's how I feel about McCarthy. Is like, we're like, oh, Cousins was fine and really good in this offense and exciting. And Darnold resurgence, like great. I don't think we've seen anything yet. Like, I don't think we've seen them have a really great quarterback. And I think he's going to be great. Speaking of just listening to Thor from football
Fantasy Life.
Yeah, Fantasy Life. Sorry, I want to give him a great now he might be a little bit crazy, but his high end on his thing is John Elway. He said, and I was like, well, that's enough for me to love him even more. And I mean, he should not be going at QB 20 or whatever he is. I think that O'Connell has shown that he is just a QB guru. I think this kid's got the tools. I think he's a cheat code for best ball right now. Like, he's by far my most owned quarterback.
I don't know how you didn't just pick the Sims for him though. He looks like the most Sims ass quarterback that there is. Like, doesn't he?
It didn't allow me to tell you how much I love him, and this is he does feel like a very, very.
The Vikings have a type, and they all shop at Kohl's.
They do.
Oh, so good. All right, gentlemen. So that was great. So good hot takes, good on the go. And now we are on our final segment, and in honor of our great guest, Dave, we are doing the best Daves of all time draft. So welcome and welcome back, actually. So we're going to do best Daves of all time. Louis, could you please give us the draft order?
Yes. All right. First pick is Ryan. Second pick is me. Dave, you're 3, and Allie, you are 4 and 5. Then you'd be doing it. We'll do a snake draft. We'll do 4 rounds. We'll do it quick. Ryan, who's the best Dave of all time?
Well, it wouldn't be like a lawyer to not bend the rules here. So I'm going to pick Larry David.
Oh, that's so good.
I had him on my list.
It's so enough. And I don't care. I'll find any way to get Larry David on my team. It's close. Larry Dave on my team.
That's good. I didn't know if that would have been that early, but I love it. Right. Oh, I'm the 2. I'm sorry. I forgot. I would be remiss. There's probably ones that I want more, or kind of have on my need to get later in rounds list, but I can't be on a comedy podcast and not take Dave Chappelle here. He is the GOAT. Dave, Larry David was up there for me, but yeah, Dave Chappelle is going to be my 1-2. So, Dave, you're up.
Dave Chappelle was my 101. That's who I was hoping to get. That's a good pick there. I think probably the best Dave. Dave Grohl is a guy that I like, and I know he's kind of like a polarizing player. A lot of people aren't crazy about Dave Grohl, and I got to say I wasn't the biggest fan ever, but I went to the Broken Leg Tour. It was probably 7 or 8 years ago at Wrigley Field. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. He fell off a stage on the tour, snapped his leg, and where most people would just cancel the tour, he continued on the tour, and he sat on this gigantic throne that was like, it was on tracks and it would come out into the stage. It was one of the best shows I've ever been to before. And he's got his leg propped up in a cast, just shredding for an hour and a half. And since then, Dave Grohl has just become one of my favorite musicians.
You were at that show?
I wasn't at the show where he broke his leg. I was at one of the shows where he came back and was in a cast and
yeah. And he had his leg up on a chair for most of it.
It was unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so I know.
He had like fireworks shooting out the back of his throne. Like it was a wild show.
Dave, I wish you would have said that you really gained respect for Dave Grohl after he came out and said he had a love child from someone that wasn't
I was kind of on the fence about him, but then I heard he had an affair and just loved him.
Which made him my 101. Okay. I love it. I'm going to go. My number one is going to be the great David Bowie. I'm a massive Bowie fan. R.I.P. David Bowie. My number two, you said Dave Chappelle, right?
Yep. So just Google other Daves real quick.
No, I'm gonna say, should I do as a former fat kid, I'm gonna go Dave from Wendy's.
Oh my God, I thought I was gonna get him last pick. I really did. I had him already penciled in my fourth round.
Dave Thomas, and you don't even know his name. You know the name of the offensive coordinator from the Eagles, but you don't know Dave Thomas. You say the Dave from Wendy's.
Yo, calm down, Mike. Calm down. I'm on the show. I'm going to ruin the label on the scroll on the bottom of the screen. You just wait. Okay,
Dave.
Back to me, I believe. This guy is from my hometown. We went to neighboring high schools. He was a little bit older than me, but David Hasselhoff, just a great star in the 80s and 90s. Grew up watching a lot of Baywatch, and why not? I don't know if he'd make it back to me in the next round. So David Hasselhoff.
I love that pick. Follow-up question: who's going to last longer, David Hasselhoff or
David Hasselhoff is never dying. This man is immortal.
With David Hasselhoff, you're just talking about life, right? Like it's just that's funny. That's good. Rye or me? Oh, I'm sorry, it's me. Wow, little surprised they came back. But I think he might be a polarizing person because I think you were on one side of this argument, right? For life. I was a Letterman guy over Leno. I mean, as a child, I just remember watching David Letterman. I didn't have a lot of parenting figures around me, so I was up late watching him, and David Letterman was a big part of my start of love for comedy. So glad to have him here.
All right. For my next pick, I'm going to go David Spade. I think just for, connections to Chris Farley, I think he's hilarious. He's any of those movies, he's great as a second fiddle. And my next pick after that, I have a little bit too much comedy going on, so I'm going to go music. If you want to hear a guy that plays a slight variation of every other song that he has, Dave Matthews. I listen, all right, it's okay, but a lot of them do sound the same. I guess when you have 800 songs, they are going to eventually have some overlap, but Dave Matthews, welcome to the squad, despite my disparaging comments about you.
It's fine, and he was on my list. It's just like Dave Matthews is more of an experience than me enjoying the music. It's more about being at a Dave Matthews show than it is wanting to see Dave Matthews.
Me drafting him is only to put him in this green room with my other team members.
That's it. He's a green room guy. That's it.
Is the lore of Dave Matthews?
Go on.
There's this story about Dave Matthews dumping his septic tank from his I don't know if that made it outside of Chicago media, but he is the most hated man in Chicago because he pulled his tour bus up on the bridge over the Chicago River and just dumped all of the shit out of his tour bus into the Chicago River. Happened 20 years ago. They've got a plaque on the bridge, and everybody in Chicago hates him because of it.
No, I love that.
I love that has made it. I think it was national news. I also love that Louis was talking shit about Dave Matthews being experienced as a guy who vapes on a podcast. I just love it. Literally
vapes on a podcast, but also just spilled beer all over himself. Okay, it's the first beer of the podcast.
There you go.
I'm going to go with David from David versus Goliath. Has a Chad ever beaten a fucking giant? I don't think so. So David from David versus Goliath, I think he deserves a spot in someone's team, and I'll take him.
That is my namesake, and you're underselling his legacy. He went on to become the king of Israel. He wrote the book of Psalms. He did so much more than kill a giant.
Oh, dude, I didn't even know he was real. This is like a whole nother conversation I got to have with my daughter. I'm going to ask her, you just taught me everything about him. I thought it was like some biblical shit from that was not real. All right, cool.
I was raised in a very religious household, and both of my grandpas on my mom and dad's side were both named David. So that's who I was named after.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disrespect that. But he's super cool. He beat a giant. I heard the giant thing. It was just like same thing as Game of Thrones. I watched Game of Thrones for 3 years thinking it was a World War II documentary until I saw the dragons finally. I was like, oh shit. I'm sorry. My ignorance.
Oh, there's nothing to apologize for.
Back to Dave.
To me, David Byrne, Talking Heads. I don't know if
that was on my. Are you sure it's not me?
I think you're after me. I think I picked third, and then you get the two after.
No, it's 100% him. She just doesn't have. She doesn't have any other names on her list.
No, because I'm in love with David Byrne, and so I was like, no one's gonna pick him.
And I had a feeling you might, and that's why I wanted to take him now because I didn't think he'd make it back to me in round 4. And it's like as I get older, I like David Byrne more and more. I don't know if you saw him on the SNL, the 50-year concert. It was amazing. Stop Making Sense, just recently re-released by A24. Amazing. Talking Heads, I wasn't a big fan growing up as a kid, but got into them in my adulthood. And David Byrne, just an amazing musician.
You just made Ellie quit the podcast. I think. I think she just quit.
That bad of a snipe, huh?
That was it. She was in love.
I didn't think we were going to top Louis sniping you for David with your namesake, but apparently,
oh my god, she's
oh my god,
poster of David Byrne.
Amazing. Have you guys watched that yet? Stop Making Sense. It's literally just a concert that was recorded in, I want to say 79 or something like that. But
and I'm going to his concert in November. He was my choice number 3, but I don't even have a choice 3 yet.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Sniped.
Great artist.
Sniped.
Great
now
artist.
You know the frustration. I know we talk about it all the time on here and you don't get it. This is it. This is how it feels to get sniped.
Sorry about that one, Allie. I can pick somebody else if you really want.
No, you're good.
I'll trade you David Byrne in a second for this next pick coming up.
Well, I got 2. I got 3 and 4 coming up.
Yeah, you got 2 picks now.
Well,
you could do the funniest thing, but I don't know if you will.
Is this now me? This is now me.
Yeah, so you're up for 2.
Okay, so I am secretly in love with David Byrne, but it's not a secret. I have a poster of him in my house. Okay, I'm gonna go with my grandpa, who I never met, Grandpa Dave Brady. Daves we know. All right, Grandpa Dave.
Grandpa Dave.
Cool guy.
I've met 2.
You don't even know if he's cool.
That's a good one.
No, so cool. He flew airplanes and he flew United. He met my grandma, who was at Pan Am. At the time, they were called stewardesses, and he was like, "Hey, pretty lady," and it's like HR nightmare. And they met, and they probably but amazing, really cool human. I've heard. So to all the Grandpa Daves that we have, and then since I can't pick David Byrne, I can't wait for Dave Kluge to be invited back. I'm gonna go David Cross. What a brilliant. Human, so funny. He was just played in Buffalo in the winter. Arrested Development is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and Tobias. So David Cross.
Like David Cross is who I was going to pick next. Mr. Show with Bob and David, also great. Yeah, big fan of David Cross.
So nice that you took my favorite Dave. So
nice. All right, I'll go with this might be bending the rules a little bit, but Lil Dicky, name is Dave, as we learned on the TV show. I'm digging deep into the bag here in round 4, but a very underrated TV show that I've liked over the years.
I thought Allie might do this to me because she was so mad in spite of you knowing that I'm a big Mets fan. I needed to get out of here with David Wright. Probably my probably the only. I try not to be fanatical ever, at least, from a teenage years up. Like, I try not to be like, oh, I love this guy, especially in free agency and they all move out. He is probably in my adult life, or, whatever, teenage up, is the only player I've truly like just loved as far as being he just, everything about him on and off the field. David Wright, I will take here and close out my draft. And then Ryan.
All right. Well, in my heart of hearts, this was actually my 101, my first pick. And I'm going to go with Kevin James as Dave in the 2006 hit film Grilled. That did so well in the box office. It made $46,000 and went direct to video. And listen to this. Listen to this plot. All right, I have to watch this movie after this. All right, Grilled is a 2006 American dark comedy crime film directed blah blah blah, starring Ray Romano and Kevin James. It was released direct to video in 2006. Romano and James are inept door-to-door meat salesmen who need to make a sale to keep their jobs. After several unsuccessful attempts, they meet a potential client, blah, blah, blah. I need to announce that the cover for this movie has a tagline that says, they have 12 hours to make a sale or they're cooked. That's what it says. It's so good. I'm absolutely buying this movie, and it will be here, and I'll let you guys know next week what happens in this movie.
So Dave probably doesn't know, but we have a running Kevin James bit, or at least Ryan does, where he legitimately, I can't tell you how many drafts he has found a way to get Kevin James in. We're eventually going to have him on the show. He doesn't know it yet, but that's really good. That's funny.
That's good. With Ray Romano too. I mean, the sitcom stars coming together after the
how is it not a hit? It's got to be just an absolute dog shit movie. I got to see it.
I think I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like very, very bad movies.
Yep.
I just watched the Matthew McConaughey Little People movie recently, which I don't know if you've seen that one. Oh, it's awful.
What do you mean? Like, how bad is it though? Like, just offensive? Is it?
Oh, it's terribly offensive. It is so bad. It is. I don't even know if I can talk about it on this show without getting canceled. But if you're able to find it, apparently what happened is everybody on set thought that they were shooting this movie that was going to be like an Oscar-winning drama. And then once they actually looked at the footage, they realized that it wasn't going to be that whatsoever. So they tried to like recut it as a comedy, and it just is awful.
Little People, it's called?
I forget what it's called. It's called Happy's. I can't remember exactly, but it is Matthew McConaughey marrying into a family where everybody is a little person.
Oh, I wanted to do so bad there. Like,
I'll send you guys the trailer. It's good.
You just won back my love after stealing my David Byrne.
It's called Tiptoes.
Tiptoes?
Tiptoes.
Kind of cute. It sounds like a little ABPs.
Gary Oldman plays a little person with a limp. It's one of his best roles. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh wow! I'm is that David Spade? No, it's Patricia Arquette. I was way off.
True Romance stars.
David Spade was in your head from Ryan's pick.
Yeah, I know. Gary Oldman. Okay. Wow, that I'm gonna have to watch this now immediately.
Enjoy.
Dave, thank you so much for being on our show. You have so much great insight. You have a great take, and everyone, please follow Football Guys. You've got so much coming up, and I'm happy 50 days until the first regular season game. I know you're getting geared up for that. Everyone, please like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We adore you, and we are analytics are for the nerds. Have a great night.